Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Gina DiGirolamo, and this is the Heart of Paso. Good afternoon, everybody. So today I'm really super excited about who my guest is. I have Reverend Elizabeth Rowley, who is the spiritual director for the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. And we're going to talk about the bigger picture of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is something that I've personally been involved in now for about 20 years. And well, I don't want to talk about it really without Reverend Elizabeth, because she does such an amazing job of introducing this philosophy and this teaching. And so I'm going to bring her in right now. So hello, my friend.
Hello, beloveds.
How are you? I'm so happy you're here and that we get to do this together. We do our love stream every Sunday I know a lot of our friends are up to watching us on there. And basically, so this is a kind of a comfortable place for us, but also it's a little different because usually you're in charge, speaking the message and all of that. And so now we get to actually have a conversation that I'm excited about. So I was thinking it would be great for you, because you're so good at it, to give us a little overview on the Centers for Spiritual Living and a little bit about our background. And then we can get into like what we specifically do at the Central Coast Center and in North County.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. So take it away.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Well, gosh, I hope I have my stats right, but we are the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living, is a part of the larger organization that is Centers for Spiritual Living. And in this larger organization, there are, I believe, 450 different types of centers. And there may be a few less right around there. And we've got teaching chapters and centers that are similar to ours in Templeton. And then there's book studies as well. And we're worldwide also, so that's pretty amazing. And so the basic tenets, I always like to begin with that, of our philosophy and faith are: we believe that there is one God common to all, and it is in and through all things. Its nature is love, and our thought is creative. And so what that means is that we are creating our experience, and there is the presence, whatever you call it, this presence of love, the thing itself, the universe, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, whatever it is according to you, that thing is within all of us, that essence, right? Mm-hmm. And so what's beautiful about this teaching, it's a philosophy of faith and a way of life. And so we welcome all paths, right? So we're considered omni-faith. We're an omni-faith tradition. And so we honor Buddhism, whether you're Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Confucianism, Taoism, and all of them, whatever.
Catholic,
Christian, thank you.
Yeah, not just Eastern, yeah. No. Make sure that people understand, yeah, it's way more than that.
All of them, right? So yeah. Whatever faith tradition that you have, our philosophy will strengthen it and have you be a more powerful presence in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that really attracted me in the beginning to this teaching was taking from all sacred texts. Because I was raised Catholic, but I was really interested in all the other teachings and the similarities. And I think, like they say, when we get right down to the bare bones, it's all about one thing, and that one thing is love. And I think we all know that. And I think that's what you do such a great job of presenting that to us, not only on Sundays, but in everything that we have done. And we've done so many great things at our center. So, yeah, and we're in a different time right now. So I was thinking maybe we could tell people a little bit about what we've done in the past couple of years, because you've been the spiritual director there now. We're in our second year, or you've gone into your third year, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the center itself has been in Templeton for many, many years, which is really interesting, right? Because it's been handed down through several people. So first of all, we're located in Templeton on the corner of 7th and Crocker, 1 block from the Templeton Park. It's an awesome location. It's a cute little building. It looks like a little chapel.
Mhm.
And it's been there since, I believe, the late 70s, 80s. And if anybody is familiar with the Hart family, maybe you know Hart Family Chiropractic,
Yes.
his parents and his grandparents actually were the ones to help us get that building way back in the day. So since then, we've had several wonderful ministerial teams that have shepherded us through, and now we're so happy to have you there with us. It's been great, and it's each time it's a new transformation of the teaching. So the last couple of years, why don't you tell me what your highlights have been there over the last couple of years?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. Well, oh my goodness. So so arriving at the center, and having that be totally divinely guided was pretty awesome. You can't beat that. And I don't think we have time to go into that whole story, but it was just such an easy and graceful transition. So I loved being guided to this community. And then as soon as I got there, there was transformation like waiting to happen, from removal of the pews. And I know some people really loved the pews. And then we got chairs. And I remember we went from plastic chairs to awesome chairs, thanks to the Center for Spiritual Living Peninsula and some other friends. And so just watching the transformation from the paint in the sanctuary, and I loved all of that. And watching the community being excited about that was really powerful for me. And then catching the vision of what the center would look like and what kind of programs we wanted to be, and the whole process of visioning and coming to that vision that we exist to raise the vibe, and having that be our why, and then our mission statement, which I don't have it memorized, but I probably should.
It's a long one.
It's a long one, but essentially what it's saying is that through our teaching, we're raising the vibe, and part of that includes healing of the body, mind, and spirit, which as soon as I got there was so clear for all of us that it wasn't just about our intellect. It's also about healing of the body and the body mind, right? And awakening really to the spirit that is within. And so anyway, so we've had concerts and movie nights, and oh my gosh, the Soul Sonic dance.
Yeah.
And I think the concerts have been so awesome. I think we had a Jamie Lula concert, we had a Floyd Lula concert, and we just recently had a live stream Floyd Lula concert. So those were really huge. Hiring our assistant spiritual director, Reverend Diane Davison, that was huge. She is such an amazing asset to our center, and so supportive and loving and helpful for me. There she is. She just gave hearts. Hi, man.
That's right.
Love you. We're so grateful for you. You have changed my life and the center's life. So thank you. And
and we've had sound baths, and we've had
Crystal Bowl sound baths with Jamie Dubin, who is in the area there, and she is just wonderful. What's that?
Hosted the monks. We've had Tibetan monks
who come
build sand mandalas. So
that
a lot. We're up to a lot. And typically we've done the fireworks booth fundraiser every year, which this year we have sat out to protect our volunteer crew. But that's been an amazing thing that we've done every summer. So we're up to a lot, like you said, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just so much, just getting started on the things. And obviously the monks, that was such a huge event to have them come and bless our center, and to get to collaborate with Earth Tones, with Mary and and her husband and that whole community. So I'm so grateful that we get to be in community and get out into the community that is the greater community, because we have the small area of Templeton, but then we have Paso and beyond, right? And so
Yes.
we are the only Central Coast, we're the only center for spiritual living on the entire Central Coast. So so we've got to reach out, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, if you go north or south, we know there's some much larger centers in the bigger cities. I used to go to the one in North Hollywood, a very large, wonderful center, 500 people on a Sunday, no big deal, but we're very small and intimate for sure. So one thing I wanted to talk about too was I wanted to really get into and ask you as a spiritual leader, how you're dealing with and shepherding, if you want to consider it that, your community through these difficult times, first with COVID, and then we can get into how we've been handling some of the other things that have gone on.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Wow. I know times are so different now, and I think immediately, pretty much immediately, like the week that we sheltered at home, when we were ordered to shelter at home in California, um, and in our county, I think it was like the next day that I heard, I heard the words, the whisper of spirit, or the nudging, the inner nudge to have us do a check-in call, and it was like, we need to do a daily Zoom check-in call. And so we just started that up right away, and it was a Monday through Friday check-in, and that was at 1 p.m. and we would go for an hour. And I was amazed at so many people in our community that got onto these calls to just share what was happening for them, what they were doing, and it turned into like an inspiration and prayer and connection time for everyone. And it was just it still is really powerful. But I also have a full-time job, so being able to take that time to be with the community was so important. I really think that was huge in our staying connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's saved me, and I think it's actually, I think Heart of Paso was kind of
Was
sparked
born.
and born within one of those sessions for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it does. It's really, and I want to just thank you so much again for starting that, because one of the things about a spiritual community is they say, people start to go to a church or a spiritual community for the message, and then they stay because of the people, right? The
Yeah.
relationships that are built. And I know that a lot of people have struggled with that and trying to stay connected. So, and we've picked up some folks along the way.
That's what I was going to share next. Yeah. And so friends of friends have joined in. So we've got, I'm going to put her name out here too, Burley Vigil
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Virginia. Burley Vigil from Virginia.
Burley Vigil from Virginia. Yes.
And so she's joined in, a friend of BJ's. And then we've got some people in Morro Bay who were kind of on the outskirts of our community before this, but this was a great opportunity for them to get in and get connected. And it's so beautiful, because I often think we're going to look back on these times and this group of people that have gone through this together, how we were really there for each other. And we're going to remember this forever.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop up just real quick. That was like one of our first calls, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a variety of people. It could be any different people on different days.
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing too. It's like you didn't want to miss it because you never knew who was going to show up,
Right.
And so we're now down to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for our check-in calls, so that it's still absolutely beautiful. Right.
And it's still open. I want people to know, if you're in need of, we've definitely had some people who are like maybe living alone, especially during shutdown, and feeling like they really needed to connect, or just need a place to share, what's in their heart. And
please
that's
know
been
it's not like a sappy thing. It's not like
right.
It's not like a 12-step. It's more like
Right.
come and be present to love, right? You are sure to be inspired and uplifted. People that have come in, like Laura Taschereau from
Mhm.
Van Nuys, and we've got Alexandra Berg, but they come in and they're just so amazed, and they feel uplifted by the end of the call. So it's
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah,
Totally. So
it's
there's
been
that.
very powerful.
So there's that we've done. And then I started doing a Wednesday evening service also from the
Oh,
living room.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I did that for about 2 months. There was a month with me, and then and then another month with myself and my fiance, our
Yeah.
music director, Travis Hogue.
Yeah.
And we really loved doing these. And we're also getting married though pretty soon, so we have to, you
Yeah.
know,
You need
selective.
some time for
Yeah.
yourselves for
Yeah.
sure.
And then we're streaming live our Sunday services, and we offered a class on Tuesdays. So there'll be another class coming soon. And it was
Yeah.
really a spiritual enrichment class. So that means
Mhm.
that you don't have to
It
have
was great.
prerequisites. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was great too. I'm gonna share real quick too, because we do have on YouTube where this is our YouTube channel. So please check us out on YouTube, Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living, where you could find all of the talks that Reverend Elizabeth does, and also Reverend Diane, who does some of them. And we have guest speakers occasionally, and we do have some of our concert stuff on there. So you could totally check it out there. And we stream live both here and on Facebook Sundays at 10 a.m. So it's a great place to get inspiration. And I have to tell you, Reverend Elizabeth Rowley is an amazing speaker and filled with so much spirit and joy and inspiration. You can't help but smile when we watch you talk.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's true. It's true. And I want to point out now and talk a little bit about one of the things about our philosophy. Well, Ernest Holmes being the founder, we could talk a little bit about Ernest, I guess. He was a New
Gonna throw
Thought,
that picture up of him real quick.
yeah, New Thought teacher back in really the 1930s is when the New Thought movement really kind of started coming in. And it's a philosophy, like you said, and and it never was meant to be a religion. But this is Ernest Holmes, and basically he came into the idea of change your thinking, change your life, and it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Um, and where was I going with the beginning of this? I know where I'm headed, but
Something about Ernest Holmes and one of the things you love about our faith tradition.
yeah, is the educational aspect of it, and the action part.
Oh,
So the
yes.
treat and move your feet. So
Right.
we do what's called affirmative prayer, or we call it a spiritual mind treatment. So the way it's not like a begging prayer, but we also know that we need to take action. And that's what I wanted to really bring up, was how we take action and how you as a spiritual leader aren't afraid to take action. So as we've gone into now, we started with COVID and the pandemic, and now we're dealing with the racism issue, and
Yeah.
how you've really been brave and have taken it on. But I don't even know if brave's the word, but really just taken responsibility
Yes.
to
Right.
help lead, and started our book club. Can you talk about it a little bit? Just
Yeah.
maybe not only just the book club, but personally as a spiritual leader.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I know you started out by talking about spiritual mind treatment there. And so that, I know that to some people that sounds a little woo woo, but it's definitely
Right.
affirmative prayer. And so it's an affirmation. It's kind of like setting your intention for what you desire to see and experience in your life, and then affirming it to be so. So, wow. Yeah. COVID-19 pandemic, and then in the middle of the pandemic, the George Floyd murder, and I remember that day I was out I was visiting a community member. They were moving that weekend. And so we were out having a great time and took a bunch of pictures, and then I hadn't heard about it until pretty late in the day, I think. And so I was like, "Oh man." And I think that was around the time when I realized I needed to end the Wednesday evening service because I really
Mhm.
wanted to begin to focus. And so I wanted to focus on doing my part to help end racism, right? And the
Mhm.
systemic racism. And uh, so that was really tugging on my heart, and I didn't quite know, but I'm always open and listening to spirit. So, earlier you mentioned gratitude to me for starting these check-in calls, but I'm but a vessel. I'd like to take credit for all this amazing stuff, but it's definitely spirit that is moving through me doing this work, right? So, as far as what to do. I one day, I can't remember the sequence or order of things, but my beloved fiance was on his way home from somewhere, and there were people marching down our street, and he got stuck behind them.
Mm.
And so they were marching, and I was like, "Oh, I want to go and see." And so I
Right.
ran out to the corner. I work during the day. I do work for people self-help housing and IT. I'm the IT service manager. And so I just dropped everything and ran out there. I was like, "I'll be right back, guys." And I went to the corner, and they were marching, and they were chanting, and what they were chanting was Black lives are under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. And they chanted that over and over, and I got like chills, the God bumps all over my
Mhm.
body. And one of my neighbors, a Black woman, came running out, and she had her towel wrapped around her head, and she she like threw her robe on and came to the corner, and she was saying, "Oh, thank you. Bless these beautiful souls." And it was so beautiful.
Mhm.
And I just was so moved. I wanted to just get in behind them and start marching
Mm.
with them. And it wasn't because of mob mentality. It was because what do we do? Our brothers and sisters are in trouble. What do we
Mhm.
do? We help them, right? Hello.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it became really clear. And then I turned to this woman. I had a really beautiful experience with her. I was getting a video of it. I was so moved, and then I put my phone away, and I stopped and just told her that she mattered, and she thanked
Mm.
me, and then we both cried, and then I came back into work, and I was like, "What is happening?" You know
What
what I
just happened? Yeah.
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 And then I think that may have been when I realized we needed to do something and do it now. So rather than waiting around, because I think that's what happens. We kind of go, well, should I do this? Or I don't know,
Right.
should I really be marching? My beloved doesn't want me out there because of COVID-19 or whatever. And so I think rigorous education was really what was calling to me
Mhm.
because I've had an experience with this coming into my life before during ministerial school very
Sure.
strongly, and I feel like I didn't face it as much as I could have.
Mm.
And I wondered why. Like, why did I just, brush it under the rug? And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, so often for me, instead of asking questions like that, get into action, right? Because you can get stuck in trying to answer these unanswerable questions, or you can get into action. And so that's when I decided I wanted to start reading this book, and so I brought it to our community, and everybody pretty much was on board too. So
Yeah, we're like, "Yeah, let's do this."
yeah, so we've had I think we've got like 20 or maybe 18 or 20 from our community, and then 10 or 15 more from other communities, right? So I
I
think
know that's what's been really interesting too, is to have that occur. I'm gonna bring up the book. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. They want to do something, but they don't know what. And so to to have this and allow anybody to just join in has been powerful, because it's about getting into the conversation, talking about things that make us uncomfortable and facing it.
Yeah. And it's not comfortable, that's for sure.
And it's not, yeah. And I would say it's not fun, and I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. If anybody knows that, I'm all
That's a
about,
whole nother story, the Enneagram.
yeah, fun. But to me, I can reframe that though and look at it as, well, actually it is fun, because
Oh yeah, it is fun. I mean, I'm definitely enjoying like the conversation with the community. I think what's not fun is navigating the world and
yeah,
our social media and our Facebook friends and all of that. But what I love about this is it's allowing us trial and error. It's like, okay, I knew going into it, I just want to say this, I knew going into it that I was going to continue to fall down and make mistakes as I'm communicating with friends, right? And then, okay, where did I make a mistake? What can I do different? What do I need to learn? Instead, in the past, I think, and I think this is on a bigger scale too, right? With everything in this Facebook world, we step out, we say something, we offend somebody, we step back, and then we never talk about it, and then we sweep it under the rug.
right.
And then or we get defensive, and it's like, okay, there's more than these two options. There's more than ignoring or getting defensive, and we have to learn those new paths. And so that's what I'm learning. And just by us talking about it, I've had several more people reach out to me and say, hey, can I join the group? Unfortunately, this one's closed, but a lot of people are really like, I want to learn, like, how do I do something?
Yeah, and it's like the best way to do it is to start doing it, right?
Just get out there and do it.
But I've experienced, and I've heard so many individuals also say that, oh, they're afraid to say this or they're afraid to say that because it's not right. And I think I may have been that way in the past, but I've been just putting myself out there. And there's a Facebook group called What Is Mine to Do?
Yes, excellent group.
And so anybody watching, go and join that group. It's really powerful. And it's administered by a woman named Tracy Brown, who is a licensed practitioner with our teaching, the Science of Mind philosophy. And she's the former Leadership Council president, and she's Black, and she's outstanding. She's one of my sheroes. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So join that group and you'll.
Yeah, that one's called What Is Mine to Do? And I didn't realize that when you asked us to join it, I didn't realize that was actually part of Centers for Spiritual Living. I just thought it was another group. But yes, really good stuff in there. And what I've loved is the conversation is really heartfelt. And this isn't about wanting to prove your friends wrong if they're not seeing something the way you're seeing it. It's not that at all. And I think what's beautiful is we're learning how to talk to our friends and not what's the word, deflect them or ostracize or shame or any of those things,
not pretend like it's not happening. They're marching down our streets, it's happening, right? And that's another thing. So where I was getting to with that, before I digressed into What Is Mine to Do, beautifully, right, was I've even made mistakes, like I'm out there posting things and then I'll read a chapter in this book and then go, oh no, why did I do? But nobody's like coming after me, I'm feeling loved, and I feel like I'm stepping up and stepping into this in a way that I never have before. And it just feels right,
Yeah. We're called to be something different and new in this time, whether it's with this issue, whether it's with the pandemic, the virus, the COVID pandemic, economic issues, so many things. So I just, we all need a spiritual home, I think, or, some people maybe have a fantastic family unit that they could just really, dive in there and all of that. But a lot of people who don't have that, maybe they're just great. This community has been so wonderful, embracing no matter where you're coming from. And so I guess what we maybe should start to talk a little bit about is, as we try to wrap it up a little, is where I know we can keep
6:30
going,
already?
especially since you and I just love to go off on this stuff. But where we're headed, and knowing that we don't know for sure, but where we're at right now with the center and how people can get involved with us. Let's just go back to that a little bit.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I did forget to mention that we're also on Sundays after our services, we are doing a coffee and conversation Zoom call. And so this is a great time to just connect in community as you would at, like fellowshipping after
Yeah.
a Sunday service in the building, just like,
Hmm.
hey, how's it going and what's going on
Yeah.
and birthday celebrations and we're having a virtual baby shower for one of
Oh,
our
right.
community
That's
members
right.
coming up, things like that, right? So I encourage you to attend one of the services and you can wear your robe. You don't have to get dressed up unless you want to.
Right.
You and then just watch and check us out and then join the Zoom call afterwards and just say, hey, let us know you saw us on Heart of Paso and we'll connect. And so please don't stay at home alone and frightened by we don't want you to be by yourself and isolated, right? Don't isolate.
Mhm.
Now is not the time to isolate. We're very loving community and open to all. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
also your article that's in
oh
the
yeah, forgot all
yeah,
about
yeah. Could
that's a
talk about
huge
that.
one. So I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Rowley who writes the article in the Paso Robles Weekly Press. Is that right?
Yeah, Paso
Robles
Robles Press and the Atascadero
Pescadero
News.
Weekly News. Yeah, so those two newspapers, I was doing it weekly last year, and then they got a new owner, so then I went to every other week. So I
Mhm.
have an article coming out this week. The last publication was on mindful speech, and
Yes.
so if you are reading those now, you can put the person and the personality and with the material. So we'd love to hear from you too. So I am not able to put contact information in there,
Yeah.
but we are the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living, and you can always email us at info@cccsl.org. If you want more information, if you want to comment on the article, if you're all that stuff, right? So for now, we're going to continue to do our services online through the month of July, and the board is meeting in the middle of July, and we'll
Mhm.
see where we're at for August. We're just
Right.
taking it as it comes and going with the flow at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
One now it's kind of 1 month at a time. So we are fortunate to have our location and it's being well taken care of. And the garden is beautiful. Hopefully we'll be able to do something outside soon, I hope.
yeah, yeah.
Did you want to
Big,
say
big,
something about that?
big. Yeah, big thanks and big love to Patty Malone, one of our volunteers who's there.
Yeah, that we've
She's
got
in
some great
Florida.
people that live on that street right on Crocker that have been wonderful stewards. And so we've got this beautiful building that we were just about to actually work on opening our bookstore and
Yeah.
expanding some things. So that's all still going to happen. Um, but I do actually have a donate button attached to our talk today.
Yes. So
So
as you mentioned earlier at the beginning, I believe, about our fireworks booth fundraiser. So normally we do this fundraiser, and it would have just ended over the
yeah.
weekend, and then it's like the busiest week of the center's
Hmm.
existence
Hmm. Yes,
every year.
definitely.
But we had the year off because, as Gina mentioned, we were concerned about our volunteers, and so we felt like it was best. The board and I'm on the board too,
Hmm.
and so that was a great decision, I believe. And now we're stepping into the truth of our knowing that we are prosperous and abundance and expecting
Yes.
that that Spirit will provide, like it always does. And so if you are able to donate, we appreciate that very much.
Yes, very much so, for sure.
And I wanted to also share that we didn't mention we were just gearing up in 2020 to do outreach programs. And so in 2019, we were able to collaborate with Paso Cares and do some dinners for the homeless, I believe.
Right.
And then we had started, we were going to do a bowl-a-thon with Transitions Mental Health Association. Remember that?
Yes, right when we started, right when the shutdown happened.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're looking for nonprofits that we can collaborate and partner with in the area to participate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, you're still here.
Oh, something has happened on my laptop. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You're all good. You're all good. Yeah. Yes, you know, we've have Echo and some other places that we want to continue to try to do some things for. I actually I spoke with, I just want to make this little plug. I did speak with Chris from FIG at Courtney's house today, and we are gonna bring her on the show next week and talk about what's happening over there, because we want to support them as well, because they're our little neighbor, and we love them to death, and there's some things happening there that people need to know about. So we also want to give our heart out to that community. It's a very special community that we have. So I know you and I can continue to talk, but I'm gonna cut us, and maybe we'll come back again and talk about some other things when we've got some other stuff going on.
Part 2, huh?
Part 2. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I'm so happy that we got to do this, Reverend Elizabeth. We don't get to spend enough time alone together. Yeah. So it's really great. Yeah. Okay. So go to our Facebook page, Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. Go to YouTube channel, subscribe so you could get the talks that Reverend Elizabeth delivers every Sunday. And like I said, extremely powerful talks, so uplifting. And our Facebook page is a great way to stay in touch with us. And people can connect to you directly, Elizabeth Rowley, correct, on your Facebook page. Mm-hmm. You do that. So yeah, lots of good stuff. All right. So I'm going to say thank you so much for being such a great leader and for taking time tonight to talk on the Heart of Paso.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Much love.
Okay, thanks. So yes, that's our amazing Reverend Elizabeth Rowley. Please go back and watch this. She has such a wonderful, warm personality, and that's what I wanted to showcase a little bit of here on this show, because I feel like Reverend Elizabeth Rowley is definitely part of the Heart of Paso, which is, to me, the heart of the Central Coast. You know, Paso has so much to offer, and our area is so incredible and diverse. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so amazing, and all the love and energy that people that do work in this community for each other. And that's one of the things that the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living is here for you, to find community, to find a shoulder to cry on if you need to find a way to learn new ways of being, to grow in your own mind and hearts and spiritual practices. So thank you for watching. Please, like I said, share the video. I do have a donate button today for the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. They rely completely on donations to stay afloat. And I will see you next week. As I said, my guest should be Chris Dillow from FIG at Courtney's house. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.